What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed. This is the series where I share a bunch of jumps, spots, and any other sort of secrets that I find on many of the maps in Modern Warfare 3. And in today's episode, I've got a ton of spots for you guys on both Rundown as well as Terminal. And let's just dive right into it with Rundown. And I've got a bunch of really nice jump spots, but we're going to start it off on this side of the map right here. This is mainly for domination. The B domination point is on the bridge just behind this building, and from up here, you can't really get a good line of sight toward that, unless you just jump up to this area right here. You can't fall off this way, so it's totally fine. You don't have to worry about that, but you can peek right over top here and get a bit of an angle on at least a good portion of the capture area of the B flag. You won't see the entire capture area, but you can see part of it. Just keep in mind you will be exposed to that window as well as anywhere on this side of the map, but of course, if you need to, you can always just drop back down and get back to cover. Next, this area right here with this little bridge, this is a very common choke point and conflict point as well. You're often going to find fights between these areas, and there's really no cover here to be found between these two. Unless you jump up on this side right here, this just offers a nice piece of cover to look over top and take those people off guard. Then a nice little route that I really enjoy taking, instead of coming around through this area here, which is what they typically expect, you can actually just walk your way across this ledge all the way around like this. And there you go. You can now challenge people across like this. And this is just a lot less expected than you just simply coming around the corner out in the open here with no cover. It's also worth noting, if you fall off that ledge or you just happen to be down in this area, you don't have to go all the way back up those stairs to get back on this ledge. From down here, you can actually just jump straight up to this area. And this is also a very useful little jump spot that many people just aren't aware of. Now, I want to point out on this other side as well, if you're coming from the other direction and you're worried about enemies on this side, you can sort of wedge yourself right here and you can catch this mantle to get up into this area right here. You are a little more exposed in this area, but it is just an option, and you can also jump on the railing here and get a nice line of sight over top of this. But again, you're very, very exposed here, so it's not a place you want to be lingering in for very long. Also, just around on the other side, in case you haven't noticed, you can jump up onto this area here and get a nice piece of cover to cover the B flag. After that, we're going to continue in the middle map area. There's just so many spots here. This is a really cool spot. If you have enemies that are in this building, you can actually jump right up onto this ledge here. And from there, you want to get up to this area. And look at that. You get a nice line of sight through here. You can easily shoot people. It doesn't block your bullet damage at all. You even get a bit of a line of sight toward the C domination flag. You can't see the whole flag or anything, but you might be able to pick somebody off as they're capturing C if they're not really paying attention. Now, I also want to point out, unlike the original Modern Warfare 2, you can mantle on a lot of things. So when you're down in this canal area here, you're not completely screwed. You don't have to go all the way to the stairs on either side to get up. Instead, there's an option right here. There's a bunch of different options, but I really like this option because it's easy to remember. So you can get yourself up this way, and then you can challenge people as they come across here. Additionally, if you're approaching from this side, that's a very common spawn area right there. And what you can do is jump up on the car right here, and oftentimes you'll have people like lingering on the edge of that wall trying to challenge people across the way there. So a lot of the times, if I'm down low like this and I suspect they're spawning in that area, I'll just pop myself up on the car here and see if I happen to see somebody there. And if I do, that's just a free kill for me because they're typically not looking down in the dark crack over here. Now, just like with the B flag bridge, I just want to point out you can wedge yourself into this corner right here. I use this jump spot quite often to get myself up and around like this. This also works to just jump toward this gap right here. You can just mantle up like this, which is really nice to know. You don't necessarily have to take these stairs where you might have somebody posted up or you might have a claymore or something on there. And then finally, you have this area right here. It might be a little more obvious because all these trash bags are stacked up like this, but you can easily just jump your way up like this. And once again, you can also kind of head glitch over this if you need to for a short period of time. Now, one of my favorite spots on Rundown is if I'm approaching from this direction, and again, the enemies are spawning back in this area here, which is a very common primary spawn area. Instead of forcing yourself to go around out in the open with no cover on the bridge, the best way to challenge that spawn, in my opinion, is to drop down right here. Find this one brick that's kind of sticking out a little bit. You really want to aim for this brick in particular so that you can mantle directly up onto this ledge. There's a lot of other times here where you can catch a mantle, but you can't actually get yourself up onto the ledge. Once you're up here, you can't just mantle over this wall on its own. You have to come to one of these pillars. From these pillars, you can mantle up and over like this, and this is an excellent way to challenge that spawn, because most of the time you have people, like I said earlier, they're like kind of peeking around this wall, or they're coming off spawn in this area, but they're primarily worried about this area right here, so they're not looking all the way over here for an enemy to be popping up. They're looking in this direction generally, so you can often just pop up there and take all these guys off guard as they're coming out of spawn, and it's just an excellent spot. It's one of my favorite spots on Rundown. It's also worth noting this works on any one of these pillars on either of these walls. So you could come around like this way, for instance, and jump up toward this pillar. Now it's suddenly not working for me. There we go. You can pop yourself up like that. That's a lot less useful, but just wanted to point out you can do that. After that, getting into this building here, I've got a super cheesy spot, but I want to point it out just so you guys are aware of it, because I have started to see some people find this spot. If you come into this building here, you can jump across onto this pillar and crouch. And look at that. That gives you a great line of sight in toward that spawn area. And again, this blocks very little bullet damage, so you can easily shoot people through there. Now, they can see you and shoot through there as well, so this is why I'm pointing this out. Just be aware of that. You may have somebody chilling up there, and you just want to use that as a little check spot. Next, if you know an enemy is in the second story of this building right here, and they're just camping it super hard and coming through these windows, they'll just get you lit up. A great alternative to challenge those people is to actually jump on the car right here, and then from here, you want to jump to the more smooth sheet metal here, not this part. You want to jump a little bit further over so you can catch a mantle right here, and then from here, you just pop yourself up, and there you go. Look at that line of sight. You can easily pick them off. They'll never know what hit them when it comes to this, and this actually also works as a bit of a line of sight way over toward the enemy spawn area there. You're not going to get a ton of traffic, so I wouldn't recommend just camping here all game, but you might want to just pop up here, check for a line of sight, and if you happen to see somebody with a sniper rifle, you can pick them off. This also works if you strafe over to this window right here. It gets you a line of sight into that little choke point right there. So there we go. That's going to wrap it up for Rundown. Now let's get into Terminal, and we're going to start it off with this middle building area right here. And the first spot I've got for you guys is just an alternative. You can actually get into this window without having to take the stairs. So just in case somebody's just camping in a corner, pre-aiming this doorway, or have a claymore set up here, just an alternative for you guys. This one's a little bit tricky to hit, but you can go from this railing right here. And then from this, you want to back yourself up from the wall a little bit. If you push yourself right up close to the wall, this doesn't really work all that effectively. But if you back yourself up a little bit, you can actually jump and catch the mantle right here. And that'll get you into this window. Alternatively, you could jump and catch that mantle and then just drop down to this ledge right here. And you can use this line of sight to challenge people, and they just don't typically expect this. Now, from that ledge, or from the window here, or from the top of the building, honestly, you can also jump across to this area right here and just kind of work yourself over, and you can kind of use these letters as a bit of concealment to maybe challenge somebody that's chilling at top there. Not the best line of sight this way, but coming from this direction right here, this will often take people off guard if they're coming through the plane. Again, you can just use these letters as a little bit of concealment, and you can pick them off, and they just don't typically expect you to be in this spot. Also, out in this area here, this is a bit of a throwback to the original Modern Warfare 2 terminal. Although it's a little different, it's still the same sort of idea. You can actually jump up to this area right here, so you can jump straight in to get into this building, or you can get yourself on this ledge right here, and you have a nice line of sight on anybody that might be trying to pin you and spawn from that little line of sight right in there. Alternatively, to get a line of sight over there, if you come to this area right here and just jump on this ledge and then crouch and work your way over, that's actually the perfect head glitch to challenge those people that are in that common spot. So all they will see is the tip of your head, and you'll be able to pick them off without them even seeing you most of the time from this position. Also, to get onto the rooftop right here, instead of coming all the way around and then mantling up here and then up there, this one's pretty obvious to a lot of people, but just in case you weren't aware, if you come up to this railing here, that'll get you up to this rooftop. I use this one basically every time I play Shipment. I'll be using that spot at least once or twice. Then once you're up in this area, if you're challenging people that are in the plane from this top area, this isn't the best place to be doing it. Instead, what you want to do is mantle yourself up here, and that gives you much better cover challenging those people in the plane. And speaking of the plane, just wanted to point out you can also jump up to this area right here, and then from this, there's actually a little invisible ledge that you sort of pop up on naturally, and this just allows you to take a good look into the cockpit area, as well as anybody that's crossing from that direction there into the plane. You might be able to pick them off right through here. Obviously, this spot leaves you extremely exposed to the middle of the map, so it's a highly situational spot, primarily for something like Search and Destroy when you have the bomb planted in here. After that, if you want to get through these windows here, unfortunately, you can't just jump onto these and then jump up right there, but what you can do is come up to this railing right here, and from here, you can jump across to this ledge, work yourself around, and there you go. Just a little alternative route to get up here, so you're not coming straight through this area, which is exactly where they typically expect you. Next, let's get into the Burger Town area, and I've got a few lines of sight. These are primarily like sniper lines of sight that I wanted to point out for you guys. The first one would be like right through this area right here. You can challenge people that are going to be on that piece of cover over there. They'll often just be sitting there sort of like locking down the C flag. There's almost always somebody just set up on that piece of cover. So this is just a nice little counter spot for that. Additionally, you can also come to this area right here. It gets you a nice line of sight toward that golf cart area right there. And then finally, coming into the security point right here, if you just got killed on like the C domination flag over in that area, or you just know people are sort of locking down that area, instead of running out into the open and getting yourself killed because this is exactly what they expect and you just funnel right where they want you to be. Sorry, words are a little bit hard today. Instead, if you have a longer range gun, jump up onto this area right here, and there you go. You get an amazing line of sight. You can actually see a little bit of the capture area of the C flag as well, and this is just a lot more difficult for them to see you and pick you off, and if you have a long range gun, you'll typically win that gunfight as you push out of spawn. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for a bunch of excellent spots that I've got for you guys on both Terminal as well as Rundown. And if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, we've covered most of the maps in the game at this point. I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. Make sure you guys check those out because I've got a bunch of awesome spots on the other maps as well. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.